Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining Lucidea's Argus CMS presentation. Today, our goal is to support why a powerful CMS is essential to your museum's digital infrastructure. My name is Marcus and I'm an account manager at Lucidea. At Lucidea, we work with museum, archives, library, and other information professionals to provide better access and visibility to their collections for increased engagement. Joining me today is my colleague, Rima. Rima is a cultural sector research analyst at Lucidea, and with Rima's help, we'll show examples of Argus's use, capabilities, and impact. Just a quick note before we begin. For questions or follow-up requests, we'll be sharing information regarding Lucidea's programs and contact information at the end of the presentation, so please reach out. Today's focus should be relevant to many of you. To help you be comprehensive in your mission to build museums, clearly you should know why a powerful CMS is essential to your museum's digital infrastructure. So our goal is to help you understand just that. Before I begin, I'd like to share a little bit of information about our company. Lucidea is a knowledge management company focused on bringing you the best solutions from around the world. We're comprised of a series of products and companies that have joined Lucidea over the past 30 plus years. These brands include well-known products such as Argus, Sydney, InMagic, Archivera, Eloquent, and Quadrastar. We focused on Lucidea's flagship feature-rich Argus CMS. Argus is used by heritage institutions around the world. And today, with the help of my respected and esteemed colleague, Rima, we'd like to show you why a powerful CMS like Argus is essential to your museum's digital infrastructure.
Thank you, Marcus, and thanks everyone for joining us today. So today we will talk collections, and I'll begin with a very basic statement to say that collections are at the heart or the center of museums. At the end of the day, all our activities revolve one way or another around collections or relate to them. So if your collections are strongly documented, you can conduct your activities more confidently and more comfortably. And collections management systems exist for that specific reason. You need tools that help you document and manage your collections. You need tools that facilitate your day-to-day job and minimize your project time. So in the absence of a CMS, or if the system which we're using is inadequate, this can be a setback. Imagine all this dispersed information that you have to go and look for in different places and all the frustration that comes along with that in order to fulfill really simple tasks every day. So in our presentation today, we will be taking a look at the different capabilities of a CMS. We will be visiting Argus both from the backend, see what's available for staff members and internal users, but we will be also taking a look at the public interface or the portal and see what capabilities are available for the general audience or the public. And in the second part of the presentation, we will see where Argus fits in the digital ecosystem of an organization and how it interacts in that environment. So let's begin with the capabilities. When we think of the capabilities of a CMS, the first thing we think about is the original purpose of a CMS, which is really to describe the objects we have in our collections. And when we're talking about descriptive information, we're talking about static, directly related information to the object. In the instance of an artwork, we're talking about the dimensions, the name of the artist, the date, etc. But then we can add another layer to that in which we record activities surrounding the object. And by activities, we could mean the location, for example, tracking the location of the object. Is it in storage? Is it on loan? Tracking the exhibitions. So really information that's a little, I would say, more dynamic compared to the descriptive data. But then we can go further and then add another layer, which is a little more peripheral, I would say, in which we add any documentation that is of relevance to this object. And here it could be material that's produced by other departments within the museum, perhaps educational material, wall labels from previous exhibitions, really any kind of document or record that could be of relevance and that would help us understand better the object and form a more complete picture of it. Now let's go ahead and take a look at Argus and see where all these three different layers really reside in the system. So I'm logged in here as an administrator in Argus. And as an administrator, I have full control over the system. So I can edit and change things, and I have the capacity to really see all the data and information. So I'm going to navigate to the object area right here. And this is where, as an administrator or an internal user, I'm able to search and look up my records in the database. I have different ways of searching. So depending on what I feel comfortable with, I could use a Boolean type of search or a command type of search, or even an advanced one like we see right here, where I can exclude certain things from my search, search on all these different fields within my database. But let's keep it simple here. I will use the simple keyword search box. I will use subject as my parameter, and I will look up public art. I can see that the system has highlighted for me the keyword which I used in my results, and I'm going to select this specific artwork. I can see the record right here. It opens up the record view where I have the image of the artwork plus some descriptive information. But today we will go to the edit area. In edit mode or in the edit area, as you can see, you have all these tabs open for you. And these tabs are really the representation of what we were talking about earlier, about these three different layers. So we have all the descriptive information. We see here description, and we see the medium, the title, the artist, etc., all available for us. We notice that we have these extra fields right here, and this is because there's a controlled vocabulary system in Argus, and we will get to that in a little bit later in the presentation when we see the public interface or the portal. But then within these tabs right here, you see you can go further into details, into the dates, the dimensions, the condition of the work, any conservation work that happened, educational material, and then you can attach any additional record or documentation to your object. And here it could be any type of file, from audio file to video file, really any type of document. You can also tell the system to remind you of certain tasks which you want to fulfill. If you, let's say you have a due date for a certain task, you can record it in the CMS and Argus would remind you of it. So we see here how a centralized system can carry all this data that is at the same time accessible and trackable is really important in our day-to-day operations. We need a system in which we can search for our records, retrieve those records and this information, and use this data and share it every day. So when we think of retrieving data, the first thing that comes to our mind is reporting. So as we're looking at this record right here, we can go to print, and it opens up this page with a long list of all these different report templates. Now, with Argus, you can create as many reports as you like. They can contain different types of information, and they can be formatted in different ways. Let's say you're dealing with an external partner and you need to share with them a report that's a little bit more official or formal. You can create a report that contains the logo of your organization on top, perhaps some contact details or some text on the page. But there's also all these other templates which you can create for your day-to-day operations internally. And this is one example of them. We see the system has downloaded a PDF file for me. And once I open it, I see there's a large image and the data that's in the report. So needless to mention or say at this point that sharing accurate and consistent data about your collections, and may I highlight really here the word consistent, is really important. It confirms and preserves the integrity of your museum and your organization. So here I would like us to move on to see the public interface and see what capabilities are also available but for your online visitors. So the portal or the public interface, it adds another layer of importance to the museum because it offers an alternative for this wide audience or the general public to access and learn about your collections online. In terms of design, when it comes to Argus, you can change the design of it so that it matches the branding of your institution and the look and feel of your website. It's highly configurable. You can change the logo, of course, everything that you see on this page, from text, the tabs, the image, the background color, everything is adaptable to your museum. So what can your visitors do here? They can browse through your collections. And here it's a broad kind of view of the records. And you can group your records into different types of collections if you have that in your museum. You can also choose to have some exhibitions available for them online. So especially in the last couple of years when the museums had to close their doors, people were no longer able to go and visit the exhibitions. This is another option or another form of an exhibition which you could have available for the public, where you pull up some records together, curate a sort of an exhibition, or create some context and add some text perhaps, and then get your audience to learn more about those records and these collections online. So your visitors can also look things up and they can search for your collections, and they have these different ways that are also available for them, just like in the backend. We saw how the advanced search was available there. You could choose to have it also on the portal, but there's also the simple keyword search, which I'm going to use one more time. Just to stay in the same mindset. I'm also going to look up the same artwork we were seeing earlier. So we noticed that there are these facets on the left-hand side of the screen. These will help me narrow down my search to get more accurate results. And I scroll down and I see my artwork right here. So this is the view that your visitors can have. We see some descriptive information on the right-hand side of the screen, and these are only the fields from the database which you chose to have available on the portal. We saw how there's a lot more that's just hidden in the backend. And we noticed that if we hover over some of these terms, I would say, I noticed that I can click on them. And this is because of the controlled vocabulary system, which we mentioned earlier in the presentation. This is how you connect all the data together. So if someone's looking at the record, for example, and they're interested in sculptures, in the topic or the subject of sculptures in general, they can simply click on the term sculpture and they would be able to see all the other records in the database that are also tagged with the term sculpture. Another thing that your visitors can do is that they can zoom onto the images in order to see more details. You can watermark the images which you have available on the portal. They can share this record on their social media platforms. But you can also open up the opportunity for them to contribute to your collections. And crowdsourcing can take different forms, I would say. They can either tag an image, they can leave a comment, tell you a certain story about this record that they're seeing, but they can also attach files. They can send you images, and they can send you any type of file really that they think is relevant or related to the record that they're looking at, and they would like you to learn or know about. Now, once they submit this information, none of this goes directly onto the public interface or the portal. Everything is sent to the backend for it to be stored, so you can go through it. Perhaps you want to collect more of it in order to take further action later. So what else can your visitors do? They can also print out reports or save them for their research purposes, and they can send you research requests. So they click on this button here, they send you their contact details, their questions, and if we scroll down, we notice that there's also the record which is attached to this request. So once you receive this request, you don't really have to go and look for the record in your database and search for it. It's available for you in front of your eyes, also with an image. So this minimizes the processing time, as well as, you know, all the confusion that could come along with that. So this is all great, but what does that all mean for the museum? It obviously means more exposure for your collections and more exposure for the museum itself, because now there's a way for the public to access the collections. But here I would also like to highlight another aspect of Argus, which is available in two areas. We're talking here about statistics and numbers. So since the portal is available online, it's collecting and capturing all this information, all these visits that are happening on the portal. You will be able to track these. So it records numbers about the numbers of visits. It records numbers about which records are being viewed. So all these things are available for you. So you would be able to understand patterns perhaps, and be able to program for later. Another area where these numbers are generated is the request management area. So the system is also recording all these requests that are received. You will be able to track the number of requests, of course, but also how long it took to process these requests and mark as complete. You would be able to distribute the tasks and the work in order to process these requests internally within the team. So this also adds another layer besides the patterns and the interest of the public. It also gives you a certain indication about your own performance, and you would be able to evaluate your own work as well. So this takes us to the second part of this presentation. It's great to have all the collection information in one place that is accessible, but in this day and age, there's a lot more to offer and a lot more to do. With an open world of communication that we live in, a CMS should not be isolated. You need your system to open up and to communicate with other elements that live or reside in this digital environment where it is. So let's see where Argus currently fits and sits in this ecosystem. And here I would like to highlight 3 different points. The first one pertains to the administrator or the internal user. The second one pertains to the museum or the organization, whereas the third one serves both the general public as well as the museum or the organization itself. And to begin with the first point, when we say that Argus is a web-based application or a web-based system, it means that it does not have to be installed on a fixed station in an office. The fact that it's web-based, all you need as a user is an internet connection, a web browser, and your credentials to log in and to continue working on your collections. And this proved to be very beneficial, again, in the last couple of years when everyone had to change the pace at which they were working and change the system with which they were working, and everyone had to go and work from home. Luckily, our clients had this option to use so that their work was uninterrupted. The second part is when we talk about data integration. Having an API gives the opportunity to complement, I would say, a CMS with other applications, such as, let's say, membership applications or financial ones, which could be in use at the museum. And connecting and sharing all this data results in more coherent information, which helps us at the end of the day fulfill our mission as an organization. And the third point is when we talk about third-party search engines. So when we're looking for something on the internet, the first place we go to is these search engines, obviously, something like Google. And I will give you a concrete example right here. And I will show you, I will go to Google, and I will just simply type in ruins Gregory Mansion. And the first result I see in this hit list is an instance of Argus that is available online. So having your portal show up in these results on these search engines is beneficial both to you as an administrator or as a museum, because now, you know, there's more existence and presence, I would say, online, but also for the public and those researchers who are looking for this information, and they would be able to have your portal show up in the results. So this takes us to the end of our presentation. We saw how a full-featured CMS like Argus, with all its internal capabilities, as well as how it integrates with the digital environment of an organization, is really important and is an essential, I would say, component to a museum's digital infrastructure. You might have some questions about the presentation today, so I'll pass back the mic to my colleague Marcus, who will be able to tell you a little bit more about our programs and incentives and the different ways that you can reach out to us. Please don't hesitate to do that with any questions that you might have. But I thank you a lot for your time today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your conference.
Thank you for that live Argus presentation, Rima. I think you gave us all reason to understand why a powerful CMS is essential to your museum's digital infrastructure. Now, for those of you interested in learning more about Lucidea, our solutions, the Argus CMS, and our programs, please take note. Lucidea has multiple programs to help. On our website at lucidea.com/programs and incentives, here you'll find exciting and attractive options, such as, and I'll start off with, the Essentia program. Essentia offers a right-sized solution to meet your technical, functional, and financial needs. The Evergreen program is available to all customers and applies to all existing applications. Evergreen offers an upgrade path for all users of our classic solutions. And finally, we also have a time-sensitive program available. So until May 31st of this year, this program is for clients who want to move to a Lucidea solution or upgrade their current Lucidea product. Examples of the benefits include cost savings, access to additional features at modest or no cost, and implementation or migration services also at modest or no cost. Thank you, everyone, for joining today's presentation. If you have any questions or want to discuss how Argus can help you, or perhaps see a demo or chat with our experts about your CMS challenges, on screen, you'll see contact information for Lucidea. Please reach out, and someone from our team will help. Until we meet again, everyone, stay safe. And thank you again for joining us today.